Okay, so welcome to Snake Time and talking about Steins Gate. Now, the reason for making this video is honestly because of other people in my YouTube community. I know some people in particular, I guess especially like Arrow Dynamich. Is a big Steins Gate fan, but I've seen kind of a recurring thing where a number of people, and I guess I'll call people out by name. I know the funny nerd is kind of forcing himself to get through the Steins Gate visual novel. I just watched a video by Crack Lotus. He said it was he was bored. He was having a real hard time with it. And I've heard similar things from Ultimate Floyd and X Corn Muffin X, Corn Muffin Joe. So I just wanted to kind of address what I see as sort of a recurring theme in the issues that that those YouTubers are bringing up, and especially because they're all YouTubers I really respect and like. I mean, we all don't have the same taste in games, and not to call out a particular individual, but Ultimate Floyd, one, I know, he and I've really, Houdini, what are you doing? I've determined that he and I definitely have, some pretty different, I think just sort of like goals in our game playing, but anyway, I think there's overlap in all of our tastes, and so I think that's something that's really fun, that we all have different tastes and that we all have some similarities. So when it comes to Steins Gate, as you can see, I'm a fan. What got me into it is the anime. I got the PC game in here. It's like I don't know if it's really a special edition, but it comes with this official fan book, whatever this is, a manual maybe, the game disc, and it's got this really cool set of pins, which is significant to the story. Like I said, I was introduced to it from the anime, and I watch a lot of anime, so it wasn't any big deal for me to watch a 25 episode series, but it did start off as a visual novel, more or less, a digital comic, and I recently played that. I actually platinumed it. It was really excellent, but I myself did have some issues with this, so I kind of wanted to address the main concerns that people have. When I hear people talk about Steins Gate and criticize it, it's something that I completely understand, because sometimes you just have one of those things that gets really popular in kind of like a cultish way, and it seems kind of weird. It's like, why is everybody so excited about this? And you kind of want to try it out just to see what all the hype is about, but sometimes that stuff just ends up being not your thing, and it's also sort of weird because it's popular and not because it's something that you were drawn to because of other reasons. So if you just I don't know, are looking for a game and you discover it organically, that's a little different than discovering it because a bunch of people are talking about it, and I think it colors your your view of it a little bit. So I feel some people are playing it kind of out of a sense of obligation and curiosity, and it might not be for you. That sometimes kind of leads to that sort of situation, and that's okay. But what I want to caution people against is kind of starting Steins Gate and then going, man, this isn't all that interesting. Expecting, I guess, it to be consistent throughout. What it reminds me of is the Sixth Sense. Okay, that made a big wave too, and a lot of people are like, "Wow, the Sixth Sense is a really good movie." And if you started that movie and you watched it halfway through, or even 2/3 of the way through, and you're just like, "Man, everyone says this movie is really cool," and it's just not interesting. It's kind of boring. Like the characters don't really make sense, and like, I don't know what the big fuss is about. And you just turn the movie off halfway through. You're never really gonna, understand why people really like it, because you get to that kind of, you get to a twist ending, and it's the payoff, and the payoff makes it all worthwhile. There are other things where I think good examples of that. Just recently, I started watching uh, Ex Machina. I didn't start watching it. I watched the whole movie, and it's a science fiction movie, like a live action one. I'm not talking about like the Appleseed thing or anything. And I just started watching it because it seemed like some people were saying, "Oh, this is like a cool sci-fi movie," and it was all right. But I mean, halfway through, I was thinking, man, I don't really like any of these characters, and I was like, well, it was starting to get towards the end of the movie, and I thought I could kind of see how things were going to shake out, and I was just like, I don't know about this, but I mean, it's just a movie. It was like hour and a half, 2 hours long, so I watched it to the end, and man, that ending did it. Like the payoff was great. I just once I saw that, I was like, oh, I get it. This is actually a pretty cool movie. It kind of went from something where I'm like, yeah, this is like sort of all right, to, oh, like I might like to own this. I might like to rewatch it. It's genuinely interesting. It's definitely better than the average thing, and it was good. So take Steins Gate. For me, it's hard to like step out of my shoes, because I find the whole cast of characters. Houdini's climbing down the damn leg of the tripod again. Let me see if I can grab him before he actually makes it. So yeah, where was I? So the cast of characters, I really like them. So it's hard for me to put myself in the shoes of like someone who isn't really kind of engaged by the cast to start with. I mean, you have Okabe, who's like this just complete like Chunibyo nerd, kind of like science geek, and like I can totally dig his character. Like I think he's funny. He's like the kind of person I would hang out with in real life. Like I like his character. Mayuri, his childhood friend. I think she's adorable. She's super sweet. She's kind of a little bit of a comic relief character. Sometimes she's kind of the ditzy character. But I really like her as a character. I think she's really cool. The same thing with Kurisu, like the kind of scientist, smart girl. She's like the tsundere character, and she's like god tier tsundere. Completely kind of like. I mean, she's sort of like geek fantasy girlfriend a little bit too, like in the series, I guess. But she's fun. Like she's a cool character. I think the dynamic between her and Okabe like really lends a lot to the story and the narrative. Like the interaction between those characters, and even like those three characters in particular. But then you add in Daru, who's like the like the Linux computer nerd, and the super hacker, and he's hysterical. Like I love Daru. So like, I mean, he's like the stereotypical kind of like Akiba nerd too. So like, if you get into that, and there is sort of like an LGBT character in Luca, who's like really kind of like gender conflicted and stuff. So good or bad in that respect. I mean, I love Luca as a character. I think he is great, and it's just all kind of like, it's kind of gravy for me. But like, I've already heard from some people that apparently they don't really get into that. And I think that the show and the game, as a story, still have something to offer you, even if you're not like really engaged with the characters. I think if you're playing the game, you're going to be picking up on foreshadowing. It's obvious. It happens a lot, and it's you spend a lot of good times with these characters. In some ways, it feels like the game could just be like, this cast of goofy characters like doing sort of goofy stuff. the whole time. And honestly, for me, that would almost be like enjoyable if it were like just a slice of life thing. But keep in mind that like all of the time you spend with those characters doing that, and all of the goofy stuff they do, and everything you learn about the characters, and all the time that you spend with every single character in the game, it's all building up to to a payoff where stuff goes bad in this game. It's a time travel story, and if you guys like stuff like 12 Monkeys, that it's, I mean, just a lot of time travel stuff too. It a lot of times it doesn't really go well, and but it's always interesting, and I love those kind of time travel stories where it's like, is there a paradox? Can you kill yourself? Can you wipe yourself out of existence? What happens if you meet yourself in the past or something? What sort of effects does changing the future have? Is the butterfly effect an issue? Is it a thing? Just that whole sort of time travel stuff. So again, if you're not really into sci-fi and you're not really into time travel stories, that's sort of like a double. Maybe you're not really going to be all that into this. But again, like I said, keep in mind all the little things that are happening in the series is foreshadowing for big changes that happen kind of near the middle and to the end of the story. That it's these moments where you just go, oh man, you're like, damn, like these things happen. And if you want to have like those feelings, that shock, that surprise, that just whatever dread, or these various feelings that you're gonna feel as you go along on this journey with these characters. It's worth it to persevere through the story. Now, the story is pretty long. If you play the visual novel, I don't remember exactly. I played this months ago. I remember it being longer than I thought it was going to be, and I think it was probably a good 12 hours, maybe even 15 hours of reading, which, depending on how quickly you read through a novel, is, that could be pretty normal. I mean, I finish books in like an afternoon sometimes, which, 4 or 5 hours or something like that. But, it's not all that uncommon to read a book for, 10 or 12 hours or more. And, that's what you're doing, basically. So mostly I just kind of want to reassure people that, like, there is a payoff, Now, having seen the anime and then playing the game, I did, I was, man, you get 5 hours into the story in this, and I'm just going, man, I've seen all this stuff already, and it doesn't end there. I mean, I was pretty determined to like just do a playthrough of the game, get to an ending, see what things are like, and I did that, and I'm just like, man, I'm kind of glad that I'm playing this, but because I like the story so much. But you pretty much get all of the main story in the anime. However, if you have seen the anime and you're thinking about playing the game, what I found is a couple things. One, you're like most of these things, at a certain point you're going to want to look at a guide and just go through to get the true ending. And I've heard another person say that, they went through and they got one of the endings and they were just like, well, I think that's enough. Like, I don't have enough time in my life to go through and like get all the endings and things like that. You're really robbing yourself not seeing the true ending in this game, because it has a handful of endings that are just sort of like character endings. So it's like, oh, well, what if you have like kind of quote unquote a happy ending, as happy an ending as you can have with certain of the characters, like you've got the Mayuri ending and the Kurisu ending and the what's the maid character? I forget her name. She's funny, but it was right on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, whatever her name is, and Luca's ending and stuff like that. You kind of get an ending for all of the characters, which are like varying levels of satisfying. But the true ending is really the true ending, and what I found was, having kind of experienced that through the anime, there's this other ending, and it's kind of character related. But I don't want to spoil anything. But it's messed up, like really messed up, and it made like my playing through this, even having seen the anime, completely worth it because the payoff was amazing. It was, I mean, it was like jaw dropped, like what the hell is going on here, kind of stuff, where I thought it was awesome. I really really enjoyed that kind of like one. It's a somewhat meaty, kind of side story that I thought was really interesting in the time travel, really interesting in like just the character, like the stuff that happens. It was something. So that really made that kind of all worthwhile. So I can assure you, if you've watched the anime and you play the game, you've got a really cool route, waiting for you, that I think that you're really going to enjoy if you enjoy the kinds of payoffs that you get, just throughout the story of this. So if you're playing the game, and like let's say you've gotten one of the endings or two of the endings or something, and you're just like, I don't want to go through with a guide, and I would recommend that, play through, get an ending or two, and then go through with a guide. You can start from your saves and do all of that stuff, but go through with a guide and get the true ending. If you really really do not want to do that, you know you get the anime. I mean, this is like the Anime Classics version now that Funimation does. This was cheap when I got it. But I mean, you don't have to buy it on Blu-ray. Like, I don't know, look it up on Hulu, or if it's available somewhere. Look for it on YouTube. Whatever you need to do. Watch basically from episode 13 on, or like you start on episode 12 or something. Just kind of like remind yourself what's going on and that sort of thing. I think you're going to be familiar with what's going on, hopefully, and just watch the remainder of the anime. It's like basically the last half, and you're going to get that payoff. So there's various ways that you can approach it, but I guess my main thing is I'm just sad to see if not just one or two, but sort of like a verging on some sort of like large portion of my kind of personal YouTube community, approaches this story and kind of doesn't really give it a fair shake, because I at least without knowing that there are significant payoffs later on in the story. I have to say though, I mean, like this really is a wonderful story. It really is great science fiction. It really is great time travel. And, I think it helps if you kind of, it's kind of taking like genre conventions. It's not really like, dropping them on their head, but it is sort of playing within, sort of the conventions of the romantic adventure game, and like elevating it to something that is really like real literature, sort of, or at the very least, maybe not real literature, but like genuinely like interesting sci-fi adventure. I kind of wanted to call out specifically some people in my YouTube community. So let me know if I don't know, what your thoughts are on Steins Gate. I gotta grab Houdini. Anyway, thanks for joining me.